What is up, guys? Just before I jump into this episode today, I just wanted to jump on and give a small apology for the audio quality on this episode. Fortunately, I tried a different microphone for this episode and it didn't go super well. There was just a little bit of a humming sound in the background. You'll know what I'm talking about when you hear it, but I do like the content of the episode and I didn't particularly want to record it again because I was happy with how it was delivered. And I touched on the topics that I wanted to touch on, so yeah, I'm sorry. I will try and not let it happen again. Enjoy. Cannot rely on organic traffic. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. How does it feel? With organic reach now estimated at as low as 1 to 6%, a lot of parkour businesses are pretty much given up on Facebook. So like if you have 100,000 followers on Facebook, organic reach is sort of estimated at about 1 to 6,000 of those people. And that's a lot of the time if those businesses have had a chance to even build a following there in the first place. In 2019, it's really freaking hard to grow on Facebook. Most new parkour brands just jump straight onto Instagram and they try and build their following there. A lot of athletes do the same thing. It is the dominant platform, it is where a lot of the parkour people see it, so it makes a lot of sense. But there is a growing trend and it is trending towards having the same problem. It's definitely increasingly getting harder to build followings on Instagram as well. So starting a business account or an athlete page on Instagram does come with quite a few limitations. The most obvious one if you're trying to start a business is the lack of the ability to sort of externally link to a website or to a landing page. There is a couple of ways that you can link, and that would be in linking your bio, but that adds a few too many steps. Usually you're trying to get your steps and your clicks down to get someone to an external page, so it's not in a very effective way. You can use swipe up on your story, but unfortunately you don't get that until you surpass 10,000 followers. And using the Facebook pixel and linking through to your store, maybe it's like a Shopify store, you can set up some links to products, but once again it's the same sort of problem. It's like, what are you linking, who are you linking to if you don't have any followers in the first place? In this podcast as well, a lot of this is what I'm going to be talking about is in reference to sort of like if you're trying to start a parkour business or an e-commerce store. It does refer to some sort of athlete problems though as well. So within the parkour community, we do have a few Goliaths, right? A few big companies, but the list is small. There's Storo, Farang, Tempest, Storm, Modus. There's probably a couple of others that I'm unaware of, but they're like the heavy hitters. So, I mean, what I quite often think about though is how hard it would be to start a parkour business now, in this current environment, using only organic traffic. And I feel like it would be a very hard and slow build. When we started Farang, it was in the glory days of organic traffic. I was like the organic proponent, like I fought for organic traffic. I remember speaking to someone about paid traffic a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I tried to sell them. I've walked in and I've done presentations to a room full of marketers before, telling them that we don't need paid traffic, so I've been a big supporter of organic traffic over the years. And as I will discuss, it's still super important, but there's a place for paid as well. In the day of the glory days of organic traffic, it was easy to build a following, But over time, it has gotten increasingly harder. Like, I remember Jason was quite late to the Instagram game, quite late for the early adopters. He was still an early adopter and early, but when he jumped on, I think I had 15,000 followers, and I remember Jason surpassing me in like, I would say like 1 or 2 months. It might have been 3 months. You know, he just built this following super quick. We had this rivalry going on, and I thought that I'd stay ahead of him, and he surpassed me. Pasha was kind of the same. Took him a while to get on the platform as well, and you know, Golden Days just shot up very quickly. These days, some of the big teams do have a lot of reach, and they're sort of the exception. You know, the numbers that they're pulling, you know, on Instagram as well, on their stories, you know, some of the top athletes, 50, 60,000 views, very powerful. And these teams do have the ability to build up a new athlete and help them gain their following. But, you know, unless you're one that's on the list to be a pro athlete and on prospect for one of these big teams, it's very unlikely that you're going to sort of get that build of following. I do have a name for this. I call it the Farang effect, and basically that means once you join Farang, your account blows up. It's happened time and time over again. Dom was the best example of this. Dom had been grinding away at Instagram for years, and he'd been doing exactly what he's doing now. But it wasn't until he joined Farang that he really started to get recognition on his account. So Dom's been a daily poster for a very long time. It's obviously a bit more complicated, this, but I guess that is still one of the advantages about getting picked up by a pro team. They can help you build that following pretty quickly. But statistically speaking, you are probably not one of those people. Not everyone can be a pro, and not everyone can get a huge following overnight. So I've been monitoring a few of the top teams for a few weeks, actually probably closer to a few months. And I've found that it seems, at least from the outside, that most of them don't really understand Facebook advertising or the ads manager platform. And if they do have a paid Facebook strategy, from my research, it seems to be pretty low. For example, it's sort of like cart retargeting stuff, or 30 to 60 day retargeting from the website, this sort of stuff. And it appears that some of them might be using agencies as well, which is a little bit worrying because the ads aren't really being done that well. So this is all well and good, but you may ask, like, why do I think paid ads are important? Well, on the absolute base level, I would say if you're not using them, you're a slave to the algorithm, right? We hear so much about the algorithm these days, and really, if I was investing in a business or if I was running a business, especially an e-commerce business at the moment, invested all this money into it, and I was like putting all of that to like this random process, something that changes quite often and the platforms don't really tell you much about, not a controlled method, then I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in spending my money in that place. And especially if you're getting into it now, it's like, how do you, and you've got that initial startup cost, and you sort of, there's no way that you can really track your spend or say, this is going to be my ROI, my return on investment. You know, it's not a safe way, and it doesn't feel like a safe way to be starting a business. So I generally say, if you're not using ads and you're not spending money, then it's really hard to start that business, and it's going to be really hard to scale your business eventually when you want to. I will also say I am biased towards Facebook marketing, as that's where a lot of my knowledge is at the moment. But you know, you can take any of this sort of to any of the online advertising platforms. There's basic marketing concepts, and they're all going to translate through to all platforms. So even if you learn these tools, you should be able to use this theory anywhere. I would also add that when I talk about the Facebook ad platform or ads manager, it also includes Instagram and soon to be WhatsApp, because they're both owned by Facebook as well. Alright, so Farang, for example, have invested a lot of money in shoes. And I feel like these shoes have been validated. They are a great offering. People generally love them. 90% of the people I've met have said that they're great shoes and they're really good at training. And so, yeah, I think they got a strong product there and a strong offering. And I feel like they should have moved quite fast. They should have sold a lot of product. On top of that, Farang have like 3,071,000 followers across the board on Instagram alone. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of crossover of followers here, but those numbers are pretty staggering. However, one thing I've noticed is that when I wear Farang shoes at Parkour jams, I often get people come up to me and they're surprised. They're like, Sean, where did you get Farang have shoes now? You know, they didn't know that they had shoes. And I've asked a couple of these people, and I've said, you know, I sort of said, do you follow Farang? You didn't see it online. They said, yeah, I follow them. I didn't see it. So what that says to me, and as we stated right at the start of this basically means that Farang aren't even reaching their own followers. So unfortunately, the days of these platforms giving us free reach are over. So I feel like if you really want to make it in this environment, this online business e-commerce environment, then you really have to have a solid paid traffic strategy. So, why are Parkour people not using paid traffic more? It's a good question, Sean. Firstly, I think there's some stigma around it. I think that because organic traffic works so well for so long, people sort of thought that we weren't going to need that. I'm sure there's been some good SEO optimization that's been done for the websites. I know Take Flight shows really high on websites, and I did see Adam Dunlop posting about Facebook ads and it not being effective recently on Twitter. Didn't quite see the whole thing. So I don't know, some people have tried to adapt it, but there is some stigma around having to pay for ads and run ads and the way that they're done. But like all things, there is a right way and a wrong way to do them. In my opinion, I'll brief on this a little bit more in a sec, but ads should just be a way to push your offering forward that just strengthens your like sort of already strong organic traffic. So it should be high, good quality content, and then you're just putting money in to get that out to more people. Good quality content and a good offering is always going to be the best way. There is these top to bottom funnel strategies that you can use, and a lot of paid strategies that you can use that can just help strengthen that. So, number 2, I think that people in the parkour community are scared to spend money. I think that a lot of the parkour community and parkour business owners have come from this scarcity mindset. Like a lot of us do remember what it was like to have no money and to not be making a lot of money through parkour. So we kind of have gotten stuck in this mindset of not wanting to spend a lot. Of course, the essentials like product and our lookbooks and photographers and all these types of things that still sort of fit within this like do-it-yourself organic method are okay. But when it goes to sort of putting larger amounts of money down that are a bit, I guess, a little bit more risky, we've not really become okay with that yet. But if you do look at some of the biggest skate brands, and I did some research on skate brands, you know, your Thrashers and your Supremes and all of those types of brands, they're all running solid Facebook paid campaigns. And these guys have huge followings as well. So there's definitely something there that's being untapped at the moment. I think the third reason is that nobody has really done it well yet. So what I've noticed in the parkour years, from all the years of being involved with the parkour community and watching parkour brands and being involved with one, is that we like to really play it safe. And once a company does it right, the others will kind of jump on board. Think about how long it took for anyone to venture into like colored clothing, right? But once one brand did it well, everyone sort of followed. And now it's the norm. Everyone is putting out colored pieces. But we were stuck in this black and white, grayscale type thing for such a long time. I feel like the same is going to be done with this whole paid traffic thing. Once somebody does it, the knowledge will be shared and everyone will jump on board. Or they'll get left behind and they'll have to do it as well. I would also just like to add that I'm not ditching organic traffic. A way I'd like to frame it is that you're still going to produce the content that would do well organically, and you're still trying to generate that organic traffic, it's high, well-produced content. Even in the ad world, no one likes to think that they're being sold to. And I mean, within the parkour community, people are excellent content creators, and people are creating top-notch advertising material. Storo does it so well, and some of the smaller brands are doing it so well. And for brands like Storo and Farang, it's okay. They sort of do have the reach, and they are working the algorithm. But these, if you're a smaller team, you should still be shooting to create the same sort of content as these guys do. It's just really about how we get it out there afterwards, once that content has been produced. Then there would also, it's also just about probably grabbing, having some pre-planning and grabbing a few extra pieces. And that could be a voice to camera or a call to action, or come up with a nice hook. These are all things that I'll explain later in upcoming podcast episodes. But think about it like the process you go through when you shoot your shop photos for your store, right? Not only do you have the shoot to get the photos, but you need the lookbook photos as well, because without the lookbook photos, nobody will know about the store. So with paid traffic, it's the same thing. It's like it's introducing new people that may not have known about the product, right, through the paid source. Otherwise, with organic, we're just not going to get that reach, and people aren't going to see it. So there's that similar kind of symbiosis there as the whole process of getting the photos in the first place. So that's all well and good, and we've talked a lot about the big teams, all right, and what they're able to do and how this could boost them up. But what really excites me about paid traffic, and what I think about a lot, is what it can do for new parkour businesses, and people trying to break into the industry now. And for me, it kind of levels the playing field for these new businesses. So there's 3 concepts that I'll introduce today, and they're sort of part of the paid traffic funnel. And I'll start with the awareness stage first. So this is level 1. So this is cold traffic. So generally this is introducing your business or your offer to people in the market that may never have heard of you before. This is the new blood for your business. So whether you are a new or old business, you need cold traffic. For new businesses, cold traffic will give you the first leads and sales. While for established businesses, it will help you grow the customer base and introduce you to new people. For most businesses, the more people who are aware of what they offer, the better off they're going to be. It's basic. Like the more people that know you, the more you're going to sell. So cold traffic's super important for both new and old businesses. Then there's stage 2, the evaluation stage, or warm traffic. So this is where we convert those people who are aware of your business or offering into leads. These people are familiar with your business, and of course they're going to be familiar with your market, but they may not have been interested to buy yet. So they needed to be convinced on your offering, convinced to buy. Then there's stage 3, and this is the conversion stage, or we call this hot traffic. So these are people who have bought something from you, so they're your true fan. These are your followers. So this is the bottom of the funnel. This is where we're trying to get everywhere, and this is what a lot of the companies that have a lot of reach right now, your Farangs and your Storos, they have a lot of hot traffic. Maybe we can call this followers or true fans. These people have already committed. They know your business well. They present opportunities. So for these people, you could do upsells, cross-sells, or repeat purchases. Repeat purchases, and that's what a lot of, if anyone is running ads at the moment, it seems to be more targeted at this hot traffic, people that already know about them. And I think that's where there's room for this to all be expanded within the parkour community at the moment. So there's literally millions of people in parkour that may be missing out on product that they don't know that they want yet, right? And I feel like it's yours or our job to convince them. Just for an example, there's this group on Facebook called Parkour. That's it, just Parkour. It has 1.6 million followers. And from what I found, there's a bunch of these groups like this. I mean, just to wrap this up, I absolutely encourage people to have a solid organic strategy. I think that we should keep doing what we've been doing for a long time. It's worked, it's been validated, but it's not certain, right? It's always changing. And it's very hard for small and new businesses to break into that market. So I'd just nudge these new companies and the old ones just to start looking more deeply into paid traffic. The platforms are changing and the tools are there for you to grow your business, whether you're new or old. Get on it, be one of the first early adopters within the parkour community for this. Generally means that if not a lot of people are doing it, it's probably going to be a bit cheaper to do. There's not a lot of competition there yet. But I mean, this stuff takes time to learn as well. With Christmas coming up, I think it's a great time to jump on and start playing around. There's some great offerings that you could create, so maybe some specials, or if there's new product coming in, there's a million ways to market. The organic space is competitive. A lot of the releases come out at the same time, so this might be the way that your parkour business could jump that extra leg and get in and make those sales and conversions and thrive into the new year. Yeah.